Welcome to the Virginia is for Laughers podcast, brought to you by X2 Comedy. If you're looking to get more out of your Shenandoah Valley experience, then this is the podcast for you. You'll meet interesting people, the comedians that perform here, and find out more about what you can do and see. Whether you live here or plan to visit, listen to explore what helps make up our unique slice of heaven. Now here's your host, Dawn Davis Womack.
Hello, laughers. I am psyched to introduce you to these two super funny comedians. Based out of Maryland, Nikkie Knowles is a military wife and mother of 5 boys. She is co-creator of the weekly virtual talk show, Clean AF Comedy, and you can also find her on her IGTV video blog, Me O'Clock. Nikkie has received many accolades from partygoers and professional groups alike. Her style is high energy and interactive with a large dose of fun. P.T. Bratton is a pastor turned comedian based in D.C. He is also the founder and CEO of Clean Comedy Connection, a media company providing clean comedy shows. He's launching P.T. Bratton podcast, and he's also performed for veterans at Walter Reed Hospital, the D.C. Improv, Google, Amazon, and the White House. Welcome to the show, Nikkie and P.T. It's great to have you both on today.
Great to be here, Dawn. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
I know. I'm so excited. I couldn't wait, putting these questions together. I just love talking to comedians. They are a large dose of fun, I find. And it's to me so curious how each comedian gets started in comedy. Can each of you share your start? And I think we'll begin with you, Nikkie.
Okay. So, my introduction to comedy is kind of funny, actually. I've always been the one to crack jokes or be the funny one of the group. I never, actually, I did when I was younger. I wanted to be a comedian, but you just never say, "Oh, I'm going to grow up to be a comedian." I wish I had though. So I would always tell jokes, be the funniest person in the group. And so one day our church was having we went on a cruise. We were having an anniversary. And they had a comedy night. And so my friend Nicole was like, "I signed you up to be a part of the comedy night." And I was like, "Why in the world would you do that?" And she was like, "'Cause you're funny. I think you'd be great." And so, with a little reluctance, I went ahead and I did it. And I loved it. And so here I am now, just doing comedy, making people laugh.
I love it. It's a gift. I love it. How about you, PT?
So my start was at a comedy show, actually, where my wife was following this comedian, Nikkie Knowles, and she was following her on social media, not like creepy stalking following.
I'm glad you clarified.
Okay, yeah, just want to be clear. So then she was doing a show locally, and we went to the show. Enjoyed the show, but one of the comedians was from the DMV, actually, Kason Wilson. And he Kason, he is great.
I love Kason.
And the way he told his jokes were just like the way I crack jokes when I'm preaching. So I leaned over to my wife and was like, "Oh, I think I can do this." And she was like, "Okay." So we went to another show. We got tickets to another show for our anniversary a couple months after that. And it was a comedian that was up that had only been doing comedy for like 2 months. And she did a great job. So my wife encouraged me to talk to her after the show. And she told me that she went through a program for veterans, a comedy boot camp for veterans, Armed Services Arts Partnership. And she's like, "You're a veteran?" I'm like, "Yes." She's like, "You should sign up." So I did. And the rest is, as they say, history.
Oh, that's incredible. I did not realize that they had a comedy boot camp for veterans. How long has that program been going on? Do you know?
Since 2015.
Oh, it's relatively new then.
Yeah, I was in the first official class to go through in Hampton Roads. Yep.
Oh, that's amazing. What a wonderful healing and cathartic process, I'm sure, for the veterans to be able to find their voice in comedy. I'm excited to know that that's out there. That's incredible. Yeah, speaking of the military, PT, you have served honorably for 10 years in the United States Air Force as a law enforcement officer. Where were you stationed, and or have any of those experiences been a part of your comedy material?
Well, I did the traditional stateside, overseas stateside, CONUS, OCONUS. So you just kind of go back and forth. But I started in Great Falls, Montana. So that is a large part of one of my bits. When I talk about me coming from the East Coast and going to Great Falls, Montana, which is definitely a different culture, and just having to adjust. So you're not just adjusting to military culture, but also culture in a strange land, so to speak. I mean, in some ways, Great Falls was just as foreign to me as Turkey. So, yeah.
Yeah, I bet. Oh, I can't wait to hear some of that material. That is going to be a lot of fun. Nikki, you are a mother of 5 boys. Does this inspire your material, and how do you balance home life with your comedy?
My family knows everything is material. So they know everything is open for discussion. Everything is open to be mocked. They know that I will use any and everything for my comedy. I think that does help us with the balance, because when they start doing crazy stuff, I'm like, oh, I'll stop in the middle of an argument and be like, oh, let me write that down. They'll be like, Mom, you set me up for this, so it's going to have to be you. So, they're getting used to it now. It was much funnier when they were little because they said the craziest things. But now that they're getting older, I have to, adjust because, growing boys, some things, we want to keep it clean, but some things you just feel like, I'm going to write that down. So
yeah.
I kind of balance it. Everybody knows where we stand when it comes to stuff that comes to my comedy.
That's really great. What are the ages of your boys?
My oldest is 23 and my youngest is 8.
Okay. Wow, so you probably have some sibling material as well, since they're 5 boys. There's a lot of testosterone in that house.
Yeah. My 8-year-old, I call him the informant. But as he's getting older, I have to up my ante because sometimes he can be bought off by his brothers. So now he's like up for the highest bidder to get
How does he get bought off by his brothers?
He likes cookies. So now that his older brothers are old enough to have jobs, because I have 17, 16, and 14. So, they have little odd jobs. So that, they'll buy him snacks or candy to, to keep him quiet. So now he's up for the highest bidder.
Okay. And what has been his biggest take home prize there? Is it 5 cookies or?
I have a son who works at Burger King, so now chicken nuggets are his thing. Like if he comes home with a 10-piece chicken nugget, he is bought out. Like you can't stop that.
This is the 8-year-old. What's his name? His first
Isaiah.
name? Isaiah. I think Isaiah is my kind of young man.
Yeah.
He's smart. I like it. That's good. Now, Nikki, you also have a video blog on IGTV, Me O'Clock. Can you tell us a little bit more about what that is?
Yeah, Me O'Clock is something I came up with when I was younger and only had like 3 kids. I realized I needed some time for just me. Like it started off with I would put the kids to bed, leave them with their dad, and I would be in the parking lot of the 7-Eleven with a big gulp and maybe a candy bar. Just no radio, no phone, no nothing, and just sitting there, just quiet, just enjoying the quiet. And so now I take that time. I still, I might not be at 7-Eleven. I could be anywhere now. And I just take that time to just, talk about something. It doesn't have to be anything really deep or anything like that, or just talk about something that happens during the day or something I find odd or something I just want to talk about. I think sometimes people feel like self-care is being selfish, and it's not. You need that. You need that time to just, have silly thoughts and just be able to talk about anything and everything and just feel good because it's, silly thoughts we need them just to happen.
I agree with that. I've been learning a lot about self-care lately myself. And I like to think of it as when we travel, what do they tell us to do first? put that oxygen mask on us before we can take care of other people.
Right, exactly.
And if we don't take care of ourselves, we don't have that, as much to give to other people in our lives. It's a big, and I imagine for being a mother of 5 boys, it's critical. It's critical. Do you give yourself time every day, even if it's just a little bit of time? Is this a daily blog or?
No, the Me O'Clock is weekly.
Sorry. Yes.
Yeah, but I try to do every day. I don't always get it. Even at night, you would think, okay, the kids are all in bed. I'm just take this time just to sit, have some me time and think my own thoughts. But no, there's always somebody going to knock on the door or somebody's going to try to get in my bed. No matter how old they are, they want to get in your bed.
They still it. Yeah, mom. Yeah.
My boys, I pray for their wives because I swear they just want to come in, let me rub their head. I spoil them. I take full responsibility for it. Rub their head, tell them everything's going to be okay. You're the greatest. You're the best man in the world. All of that. Give them their little affirmations and then send them on their way. So
that's a good mama. That's a good mama. I love it. You also have, you're doing or co-creating a virtual talk show, Clean AF Comedy. And can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yep. Clean AF Comedy was actually PT's brainchild. He came to us because I too went through the boot camp of ASAP. PT told me about it. So I went through that boot camp and met some guys. And when I met PT, he was doing comedy at the local mall. And so he had passed out some flyers looking for comedians, and my brother found one and told me to call. And so, that's how I met PT and Dwayne White and Nick Baskerville. So we did a couple of shows together. And then the pandemic hit. So we were looking for something to keep us, in everybody's eyes and everybody's ears. So that's when we created Clean AF Comedy Show. It was a weekly show. Every Friday, 6:00, we were there to talk about any and everything. It was fun.
It does. Yeah, it definitely sounds like a lot of fun. That's really neat. PT, you performed at the White House. Tell us how that happened and what was the experience like?
So in reverse order, it was great. And it came about, I think the second year I was doing comedy. The opportunity came through ASAP, the Armed Services Arts Partnership. Is that ASAP? Armed Services Arts, yeah. And it was the end of Obama's tenure, his second term. And it was just like, hey, let's do a comedy show with veteran comics. So all the vets that work in the White House were invited to the show, and it was great. And it was an honor to be selected. And mind blown, right? I just started doing comedy, and I have this opportunity to do a show at the White House. So it was great.
Did you get a picture op with Obama? Do you have a picture?
Unfortunately not, because he was entertaining the prime minister from somewhere, him and his wife. So now President Biden was supposed to be the MC. And he decided last minute to go on the campaign trail for Hillary. And in retrospect, he could have stayed and did the comedy show because she didn't win anyway. So he could have just been there with us. And that would have been a photo op, right? I'm like, I got him because he's the president now. So I was like, I got a picture with the vice president and now the president. So
what was he thinking making that decision?
I know, right? I would have made a different call. That's all.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, just saying. How many comedians were in that show? Do you?
It was a few of us because, keep in mind, we were all fairly new to comedy. So we had a tight 5. No one had a headliner type of material. So it's we got 5. So you got to put quite a few comedians together if they only have 5 minutes to make a decent show.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's actually really nice though, because you had a lot of variety from the different vets in terms of their their voices and their styles and their stories, I imagine. So it's probably highly entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, my wife told me, of course, you do your set, you walk off the stage. She told me I got a standing ovation. I don't know if she's just being a wife and hyping me up, or it really, I don't know. I walked off. I was just glad, I didn't forget my jokes. So.
I feel you. Well, the first time I saw you, I stood up. You're hilarious, and I'm excited to bring you down here in the Valley and share your talents with people. And Nikki, you're hilarious as well. The first time I saw you perform was on a virtual show. I was hooked from day one. It's going to be an honor to have you both here. Now,
thank you.
You're very welcome. And PT, I did want to talk about your experience as a former pastor. Do you see any spiritual service in your comedy happening? And if so, what ways?
Yeah, I mean, well, people say all the time, laughter is good medicine. And that's actually in the Bible, where it says a happy heart is good medicine and a joyful mind causes healing. So there is a spiritual component about what we do to bring people joy and happiness. That is very much ministry. So even the show that we came together and created during the pandemic, Clean AF, was designed to help keep people's spirits up, because a lot of people were depressed and battling depression and just being inside and you losing family members and family members getting sick, and am I going to get sick? So we wanted to bring something every week, a bright spot where people could come and it was like 45 minutes, just relax, free your mind. And I think at some level that helps keep us sane. It helped keep, even as us, for us as comedians, getting together and planning that it would be days where we all get on and no one's feeling it, but we start cracking jokes and then we all feel better. So yeah, it's definitely a ministry component to that. And beyond that, I was just talking on Sunday about how the opportunities I have reaching people doing comedy versus saying, okay, come to my church. A lot of people have been hurt by church and they have these bad, feelings. So it's a great way to reintroduce them to church and to Christianity and to faith, because they're like, are you really a pastor? I'm like, yes. And then we have these great conversations in the comedy club about, I've talked about the Holy Spirit. I've talked about salvation in the club after shows, and people routinely come up to me. And so the follow-up question to, are you really a pastor, is like, where's your church? I want to come to your church. Because their expectation of a pastor is like, oh, he's real serious and, And I'm not. Right. I am who I am. And comedy has given me a freedom now to minister, even when I do preach, in a way that I didn't feel free to do before. But now that I'm a comedian, it's like, it's okay for me to crack jokes. But when I was just a pastor, it's like, this is serious work here. This is serious business. I'm like, it is, but I can still be light and make humorous jokes. Yes. And, anyway.
I agree with that. God created everything, so it means laughter too. in my humble opinion. Now, PT, you're also launching a podcast. It's brand new. What is your new podcast all about?
So hopefully my goal of the podcast is to bring life, love, and laughter to help people get through this thing we call life. It's my thoughts on a lot of topics, basically. So it was birthed out of the Clean AF show, where we couldn't talk about everything. So we talked about it in the rehearsals, but we couldn't really do it on the show. There was a lot of times where like, okay, this is funny or maybe not funny, but it's our opinion. And then we said, well, based off what we're trying to do with this show, we're not going to talk about this on the show. So the goal of the podcast is to be a place where I can talk about what I'm thinking, because it may be similar into other people, what they're thinking, and let's have a conversation. Let's talk about it. One of the first shows is going to be about relationships because I can't seem to get away from that. People are always asking about relationships, and my wife and I, we've been married for, it'll be 17 years on the 23rd of July.
Woo! Congratulations.
Thank you. So we're still together. So
He takes a deep breath.
yeah. No, it's work. I think that's the thing that people are, you expect a relationship to be easy. You know, if I find the right one, it's going to be easy. It could be the right one, but it's still going to be work.
Work.
I agree with that too, because we do grow and change after we get married, and that requires some adjustment. It's as if we're continually learning about each other.
That's right.
You know, and it's a give and take and lots of forgiveness.
Yeah. So there's going to be, I don't want you to think it's just about relationship, but that's just one topic we're going to cover.
Right.
I have two boys, and my father, myself, and my oldest, we're 30 years apart. So we're definitely going to do a couple sessions or segments where it's the three of us talking about topics, because that's, three different generations.
Wow, that's cool.
And then my youngest son is an aspiring comedian, so we're going to give him time to come on and tell some jokes. I don't know, based off his behavior, you may not hear him every week. If he's on punishment, you won't hear the joke of the week that week. So
How old is your aspiring young comedian?
He is 10, and he did some jokes at the last show we just did this past weekend, and surprised me because he was like, who's going to introduce you? I'm like, I don't know. Why? Do you want to introduce me? He's like, yes. I said, okay. And I knew right then, I'm like, I don't know what he's going to say. But what he said it was funny, and he got a laugh. And I'm like, when did you think of that? He was like, I just kind of made it up on the spot. I was like, okay.
Oh, wow. That's great. Maybe we'll have to have him come with you next time for one of our shows. You could do a minute or two. Maybe.
Oh, he's definitely got stuff to say. And the first joke he was only supposed to tell one joke, and he tried to take over the show. I'm like, look, sit down.
And what is this bold young man's name? What's his first name?
Oh, Matthew, aka Matt Man.
Matt Man. Okay. Well, I'm going to be looking out for the success of Matt Man.
Yeah.
He sounds like a lot of fun. Yeah.
He's a character.
Yeah. Lots of comedians are characters. I find good ones too, like the two of you. Yeah. I wanted to ask each of you what your writing process is like, and I'd like to start with you, Nikki.
Honestly, before I met PT and I took the boot camp class, I didn't really have a writing process. I literally would get up there and just start talking.
Riffing, yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes it would work, most times it wouldn't. And so once you learn and you go to class and you learn, so what I do now is I speak into my phone in my notes because I'm the type of person, if I write it, I'm thinking too much of how to spell stuff, and so it doesn't come across. But if I speak it into my phone, I can then go back and just adjust and like, what is this word? And like, oh yeah, that's what I was trying to say there. Stuff like that. So I'm the type of person, if it comes to me, I just start speaking into my phone. People think I might be crazy, but when I'm famous, they'll know.
That's right. I like that attitude. How about you, PT?
So I'm not a great writer either. Stuff happens in life. I might see something that's funny, and I'm at the point now in my comedy career where family and friends constantly point out stuff like, oh, you need to put that in your routine, or are you going to put that in the routine? So I got other people looking out for me too. So when funny stuff happens, they're like, oh, okay. And then I'll make a note. I'll write it down, like what happened. and then try to fit it, well, what's the premise, here, what's a good setup for somebody who wasn't there, so that they can, any audience can laugh. That's the toughest thing about situational comedy, is that you have to be there. So to translate that into something on the stage, you have to have a good setup so that the audience, no matter who they are, can laugh at the punchline. So
they're in on it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's neat. I love that they're looking out for you. I have similar process when I'm out and about. I have a notes folder, jokes, and something happens. Oh, wait a minute. And, even if it's just the idea and I know something funny can come out of it. And sometimes it's the whole joke. So they're kind of all over the place in the digital folder. And I love
then Dawn, the other thing is from your performances, like there are jokes I have jokes now that are solid that came out of a performance, and it was an ad lib. It was a off the cuff. It was a riff. And it got such a great response. I'm like, oh, let me go work on that. Yes. And so that's why I really promote recording yourself when you do your set. So you can, because it might be something that you didn't plan, but you said it. And you're like, oh, can I say that again? And get that same kind of reaction. So,
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, I'm not your typical sit down and write out a joke. I'm really, it's like stuff that happens. Is it funny? How can I package that so it can be a joke on stage,
both in your daily life and on stage? I like it. That's I like that a lot. How do you both prepare for a show? Nikki, how do you prepare for a show?
I have a house full of people. So what I like to do is just go somewhere the entire day. I'm just like, don't talk to me. I need to quiet my mind, go over my set in my head. I talk to myself and say it in the mirror or whatever, try not to eat too much. I'm a woman of a certain age, so, drinking things all day, and you might have to go to the bathroom all day. So I'm like, don't eat or drink. Just, try to keep yourself calm. That's how I prepare. I don't talk to the kids or the husband. They think it's funny. They try to taunt me, mom, and they know I'm getting ready for a show. So then I get more jokes because then we're going back and forth about, like, one day I want to just do a set about marriage.
Oh, that'd be great.
Without my husband being there.
You might get a little sensitive. I want to hear that set.
One day.
Yeah, one day. I want to hear it. How about you, PT? How do you prepare for a show?
I mean, similar. I've started this year, so I'm trying to go to the next level. So I'm like, there's some work involved. So you gotta actually plan a little better than I've been doing to this point. So I've started tracking, like, this is the planned set. Here's the jokes. And then I have a spreadsheet, a performance tracker. So I will annotate things like, what kind of audience, what kind of response. And then I can, take that data and try to figure out, okay, for this particular audience, if I have an audience like that before, then I can go back to a set that I've used before that I feel like might work with this particular audience. And then, like Nikki, try to get to yourself. It's amazing that a lot of comics get quiet. I have a lot of energy when I perform, but prior to the show, I'm very quiet and to myself, in my head almost, just because I'm so nervous every time I get up that I don't want to forget my joke. I don't want to forget my joke. And I'm like, especially the more time you have, the more nervous you are that, what if I get out there and I don't remember any of my jokes? Like, what happens then? Or what happens if people don't laugh? So
that's my biggest fear.
Yeah, so a lot of in my head time. I always pray before the show. It's similar to when I preach. It's like you say that prayer, you connect with God. Like I approach it the same way. I'm like, God, have your way. And it's been working. It's been working. It's like, look, let one person laugh, God.
Let me be a vehicle or blessing. Yeah.
Yeah, if you approach it like that, I mean, for me, it works. Like that's because for me, it's ministry. So it's like, let somebody get some out of it. Let somebody enjoy it. I love doing shows with Nikki and the others because then it's not just about me. Because I know they're funny. So
yeah, that helps a lot.
Yeah, I'm more relaxed when I do. Like Nikki went before me on the last show, and she did a great job. She killed it. And
I'm not surprised.
And Vita said, Vita's my wife. She was like, I was a little nervous because they were laughing. They was she was getting good gut laughs out of people that you had to follow her. And I was like, well, there's two parts to that. One, you want somebody in front of you to do well like that because then the crowd is already laughing.
Yeah.
And then two, it's a challenge to me to be like, okay, I got to push it that much harder. So Nikki is pushing me to be better. So I love doing a show with her. You know what I mean? Because it's not, I don't have to do heavy lifting when I get up there, but I got to work because she didn't pull the laughs out. So you got to be like, okay, I got to get every little bit of laughter that's left in the room.
Vice versa.
At the end, they like, yo, that was a good show. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So yeah.
Yeah. If Nikki brings the house down, then PT's going to bring the house down.
I got to bring it. I want her to do the best she can do so she forces me to be the best I can be. And I'm like, and then, here's the thing with comedy. At some point, Nikki may be that headliner. I'm like, okay, let me feature for you and let you, because of the level that she's, you know what I mean? Like, we just got to understand, as comedians, I think, and as friends, Nikki's definitely a friend of mine. I want her to excel. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes people are in this game and they don't want anybody to be better than them. I'm like, that's stupid. That's
short-sighted. I I think that's short-sighted. Yeah, we can all make each other better. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she might be the next Tiffany Haddish. Like,
who
am I?
Oh, snap.
Who am I to try to keep her? Oh, no, you're not ready. Like, I want to push her. I want her to be successful, be everything that God's created her to be. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And then, because we got to, I'm sorry, I'm a preacher, so sometimes I get preachy.
Do it.
We just got to know our role. You know what I mean?
Right.
We got to run our race. My race might be like a Tony Woods, where you're helping comedians. You know what I mean? Like, he helped Dave Chappelle. You know what I'm saying? So some people are like, well, who's Tony Woods? I'm like,
well,
you know what I mean?
No Tony Woods.
Right. But I'm like, he's helped a lot of comedians. You know what I mean? And so that might be my role, but that's okay though. You know what I'm saying? Like, we just got to be able to embrace where we are in the thing and do our part to help, because it's the big picture. Like, what do we want to do? What's our goal? And I think my goal. I just watched a comedian, a friend of ours, on America's Got Talent, and I was so excited for him because I'm like, clean comedy is something that we need in this day and time. So for him to be clean and funny, I'm like, do it, man. I want him to go as far and as high as he can go. I'm rooting for him, I'm supporting him. But I feel like that's what we should do as comedians. We should support one another, and if I'm winning, you win. Like,
exactly. Yeah, it's win-win. And to me, the bigger goal and bigger vision is to provide that gift of laughter. And, we just don't know. I've said this before. We just don't know what people are going through in the audience. Exactly. And to be able to be that shining moment, that just bright spot in their day, and to be blessed and relieved for even a few moments or for the time of the show, to just take a break from all of that, whatever's going on in their lives. I say it a lot. It's a great life reset button to go to a comedy show, and comedians that give that are given a gift that you can't put a price on, really. Right. Yeah, it's healing. It's healing stuff.
Yes, it is.
Healing stuff. I love what you shared there, PT. Now, here's another question for the two of you. What are your top 5 comedians? Miss Nikki, we'll start with you.
I would say Lucille Ball.
Oh, yes, my heart. Yes.
Because I loved her show. And
It's
so,
right.
seeing her grow up in the time that she was, and I studied her life, I've watched documentaries. I just think she was she might not have been a comedian, but, stand-up comedian, but the comedic actress that she was one of the reasons why I wanted to do what I'm doing. Then I would say Robin Williams, all out
Oh,
Williams.
good
I'm a
one.
Robin Williams fan. Dave Chappelle, definitely. I feel like Dave stole my life because we are about the same age. We grew up in the same area. If I had known that you could go out and try to pursue your dreams as a comedian at 16, 17, 18 years old, I really truly believe me and Dave would be best friends. In my own mind. In my mind, we are best friends, actually.
There you go. Let's claim it.
Chris Rock. I think he's hilarious. And
Another good one.
there's a toss-up between Kevin Hart and Bernie Mac.
Oh, yeah. Those are also
I don't know.
They can have a tie.
Yeah.
We'll allow that.
Thanks.
Yeah. How about you, PT?
Yeah, so I'm making my list based off of people I want to meet in life, I guess. No, I was like, if they hear the podcast and know that. But I would have to definitely give one of my slots to Bernie Mac, the late great Bernie Mac. Hilarious. I love the way he told those stories. Speaking of stories, late great Charlie Murphy. I feel like he was just a gem. So unfortunately, I can't meet those people on this side, but they were great. My top one, I make a joke about him all the time because I hope he hears it and like, okay, I want to work with him, Dave Chappelle. And I know that as a clean comic, I don't know, but Dave Chappelle, I feel like he's in my top 5. Kevin Hart, because of his work ethic. Now, people, you can say what you want to say, or he's not funny, whatever, but that dude got a hustle and a grind like no other.
Yeah.
So, and then rounding out my top 5, I would put Angela Johnson in there. I don't know if a lot of you know about Angela Johnson. She is hilarious. She is the female comedian who is clean. She works clean, and she is funny. And yeah, I'm like, that's
it right there. I love it. Those are great 5s, both of you. Great 5s. If you were each given a chance to interview one of them and you could only pick one, who would you pick and what question would you have to ask? Yeah. Oh.
Only pick one, though.
Yeah. Just one. She said, and they don't have to be living. So if you wanted to ask one that's on the other side, theoretically speaking.
Mm-hmm.
I know. They're thinking and they're thinking.
I would.
What you got?
Okay, I would say honestly, Robin Williams.
Okay.
I want to say Dave Chappelle. Hey, Dave.
We're all talking to Dave right now. Okay.
The reason I would say I would ask Robin Williams how he was always on, no matter where he was always on, and I strive for that energy. Like, how do you keep that energy to always be on, no matter what? Like, I've seen interviews with him. He's been on cameos of TV shows that I love. The Aladdin, like when they redid Aladdin, I was like, who is Will Smith? Not nothing against him. You cannot beat Robin. He was just authentically himself. And Mork and Mindy, I grew up on that. Am I telling my age?
That's okay. I love Mork and Mindy too. I'm right there with you.
consistently on. And I wanted to know, how would you maintain that?
That's good. I like that. How about you, PT?
I would definitely love to sit down with Dave Chappelle and have a conversation because You said one question though.
I know
I
it.
don't even know what to ask him, but I would probably ask him, like, if there's one thing that one piece of advice you would give to a new comic,
Good.
what would that be? You see what I'm saying? Like, I want to, and hopefully that's the kind of question that would open up the floodgates, and he'll just drop all the knowledge and wisdom of what he's been through and what he's seen. And
Yeah, I'd like to hear the answer to that question too myself.
I'd be sitting next to PT ear hustling because it wasn't my question, but I would take advantage fully of what was being said.
We all want to be.
Because I feel like at that level, you can distill it down to, like, what's one thing you would tell somebody, and because they've been through so much and seen so much that they'd be like, oh, this one thing, and you be like, it'll be something that you ain't even think about, like, and all the things that we're trying to do as comedians to move up, they'll be like, this right here. You're like, oh, I didn't even think about that. Okay.
Yeah, wisdom. I'd love to hear that myself. I want to be in that interview for sure. And now, as we wrap up here, can you share with our laughers how they can follow each of you on social media? Take two on that question. How can they follow you on social media?
I'm on social media. It's Funny Girl Productions I'm not on all social media. Facebook, Instagram, and of course TikTok.
All right. You can't see her, but she was dancing. That's good.
Go to TikTok and you can see her dancing.
Exactly. Oh, you dance on TikTok, do you, Nikki?
It's not good at all.
Okay.
It's there, but it's, just now. My bones don't move that way they need to for these dances.
That's good. How about you, PT? How can they follow you on social media?
You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at PT Bratton, and I'm also working on YouTube, but it's under construction. So those are the Twitter is hit or miss, mainly on Instagram. Facebook is my secondary, but yeah, all platforms at PT Bratton.
Great. And laughers, we'll make sure that information is available to you in the show notes as well. Thank you so much, Nikki and PT. You both are absolutely amazing, funny, hilarious.
Thank you for having us.
You bet. You bet. I can't wait till you guys come to the Shenandoah Valley and share your funny with our laughers here. So it's going to be exciting. Thanks again.
Looking forward to it.
Yes. Great. Laughers, listen up. You can catch these two perform live Friday, August 13th at One Tribe Farm's highly popular outdoor summer fun series, where we'll have fresh off the farm food prepared by Chef Jordan, live music by Versus, and an X2 comedy show. Bring your tribe to One Tribe Farm. It's located in Mount Sydney, just 20 minutes south of Harrisonburg. Then on Saturday, August 14th, you can catch them live again at our one-of-a-kind Comedy in Kazumba monthly event at Friendly City Dance Room. It's 2 parts dance lesson, 2 parts comedy show. The event makes for a great date night where you'll learn the partner dance Kazumba, a form of dance originated from Africa, and you can laugh the night away. Make it a night or a weekend you will remember, and buy your tickets today. We'll be sure to put that information in the show notes as well, and we will see you there. And lastly, and most importantly, thanks for tuning in, laughers. Out of all the podcasts out there, you picked us, and we think that's pretty special, just like you. Until next time, keep smiling. Bye.
Goodbye.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Virginia is for Laughers podcast, brought to you by X2 Comedy. We'll be dropping a new podcast every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so check back for another uplifting episode. Come to an X2 Comedy show or let us bring a show to you. To find out more, head to x2comedy.com. Be sure to share us with a friend. Until next time, cheers.